Hello guys and gals, me Mutahar, and today we're browsing the deep web, dark web, or the dank web. I know that very much for the last couple years. I've kind of been in and out like an absentee dad when it comes to this series, but ladies and gentlemen, today, God willing, marks the return of every Sunday being good old dank web browsing. Now, I know that when it comes to the old deep web, obviously one of the reasons why it kind of went on hiatus was because I felt like I really did explore every single thing out there. There's going to be a lot of just exploring the deep web in amongst a mixture of, well, just weird things on the internet. So sit back, relax, grab your cup of coffee, and let's go to our very first dark web website. The No Trace Project. No Trace, No Case. A collection of tools to help anarchists and other rebels understand the capability of their enemies, undermine surveillance efforts, and act without getting caught. You know when people talk about like the reason the dark web exists? It's not just to sell crack or run like fake scam red room live streams. It's so that apparently anarchists can commit actual forms of resistance against the government. So I guess we'll look at things like ears and eyes because I'll be real, that first top part actually excites me. But to look at it real quick, they've got repressive techniques, mitigations, repressive operations. They've got resources that deal with surveillance and operational security. So zines are not something I've seen for quite a long time, so I actually want to see all of this stuff real quick. So when it comes to ears and eyes, searchable databases of cases of physical surveillance devices hidden by law enforcement or intelligence agencies to surveil people or groups engaged in subversive activities. So this is like relatively updated. Like, yeah, September 2024, they got 114 cases of just actual. They found surveillance equipment left by cops, left by the Feddies. So, for instance, in Bremen, Germany, a camera was found in a car parked near the venue of an event. It was located in a box behind a tinted panel and had a good view of the venue's entrance. A flashlight pointed at the box revealed the camera despite the tinted panel. So I guess like this is okay, so I guess that's where the camera would be technically. And of course, if you look around in the vehicle, it was just, I guess it was just sitting inside. Okay. Treviso, Barcelona, Spain. A camera was found in front of a house that was located inside a black box on the roof of a restaurant located in front of the house. Oh, so somebody was surveilling the actual house in question. They planted this little camera, which, yeah, that is in fact the camera. You can see the whole lens right over there. Planted? Just surveilling on the actual fucking house, dude. Like, they actually broke in, grabbed the fucking camera, and they're like looking through it. That's crazy, dude. That's actually kind of crazy. So then they've got things in Lecce, Italy. They've got stuff from Italy. It's very much Euro dominated. I wonder if there's like okay, so sort of by country maybe. Well, there's no Canada, unfortunately. They've got stuff in China and the United. Actually, let's see the United States. So in the United States, in the Midwest, a tracking device was found under the car of someone who had been arrested 2 days earlier on an outstanding warrant. It was attached under the rear axle of a car with strong magnets. This is like some Breaking Bad, spy on my wife level GPS tracker shit. How much you want to bet that's actually like a private? That's probably like a private investigator or something. I mean, I wouldn't doubt if like a cop planted that, to be crying out loud with you. But they give you the sources for it. Like, this is from a website called It's Going Down. Law enforcement admit, oh shit, it actually was a Fed who did it, bro. Placing GPS tracker on an activist's car. That's insanity, dude. That's insane. The Feds, wait, was it like local police or was it federal police? I gotta see this one. A lawyer calling it while in custody. If there any PBOS belonging to detention. PBOS refusal was released without giving a sample. They also noticed their file had an FBI number highlighted underneath their SSN. Yeah, I mean, I guess if you're being a thorn in the government's ass, they're probably going to get the FBI to investigate you. I mean, let's not pretend. That is scary, dude. That's like scary. This guy's like what? Like a protester? Like somebody who's out there being an activist, and next thing you know, it's like, woo, woo, I've got a tracking device stapled to my car. That's actually scary. So they've got like GPS trackers. They've got, and I'm glad they provide sources for all of this stuff too. The trackers were probably installed by the Federal Bureau of Investigation. That's insane, dude. It's like a whole It's like a whole website on the dark web that literally exists to fuck the government in its ass. The same government that's screwing them in the ass. Wild stuff, dude. So here's some resources for privacy. Smash all phones. How to protect yourself from the snitch in your pocket. So I guess they've given a little PDF file here, which I guess we'll read. Smash all your phones. So obviously it's no doubt that probably every single phone that we have can like listen in on you because microphones can be active. Sometimes phones will have like a little privacy thing. Like sometimes, at least on like iPhones, they'll give you like a little privacy like indicator, and it'll tell you like, oh, this application is using your like audio. But to be fair, unless you have like access to any phone that has like actual hardware kill switches, not really. You can't really trust anything, at least in the phone software. Smash all phones to protect yourself from the snitch. So they tell you data extracted from phones. Tech-savvy folk have a name for one of the safer ways to transfer data without the risk of snoops digging into information being sent while in transit. The sneaker net. Save data onto a portable device and walk it over to where it needs to go, wearing sneakers, of course. So basically, the idea is you put your sensitive file on a flash drive, you stick it into your shoe, and you walk it right over there. I got another point, anal net, okay? Do it like they do in prison. Just stick it up your ass and walk it all the way over to somebody else, dude. Recently, I received 2 USB drives by SneakerNet from my lawyer. Oh my God, when when your lawyer has to be doing shit like this, that's you're involved in some crazy shit. I had been arrested at a protest months earlier, and despite my original plans to the contrary, had my encrypted Android smartphone on me during the arrest. So unencrypted Android smartphone shit. Many articles and zines address electronic safety and precautions received. The purpose of the text is to inform you that the kind of data cops can easily take from your phone if they have physical access to it. And that is true. Like what they're referring to is like when, for instance, most phones nowadays have a layer of encryption and protection, but like typically I would assume around the time this zine was written, if you have like generally older Android devices or older iOS devices, sometimes the feds work with companies, like some of them state like Celebrite, some of them was like some of these companies exist out of like Israel, like I think it's the NSO group, where like they will sell you software to these companies that will hack the encryption on iPhones and Android devices so cops can break into your phone, right? I remember there was a case back in the day when Apple literally took the FBI to court. Like that is the moment where the FBI was like, all right, we can't convince Apple to put in a back door, because if Apple did it, their whole, shtick of privacy would be completely thrown out the window. So that moment, the FBI, they decided, they were like, all right, fuck it. We'll just have to hack into this stuff ourselves. And so if you have an older device, there's generally exploits that the FBI is taking advantage of to break into people. So if they can break into your phone, they will break into your phone. Simple as that. DNA, you say, burn everything to burn longer, a guide to leaving no traces. All right, so now we're trying to get rid of DNA evidence over here. So this could actually be used in a serious crime in the harm of individuals, right? Burn everything. Again, we hope that this translation will help English-speaking anarchists to better understand and protect themselves from the dangers of DNA. So I guess if you don't want to be identified, they actually will tell you about how the police collect things like DNA, right? So liquid samples, solid residue, touch DNA, solid bits. It'll tell you what's usable. So for instance, blood is like the actual DNA evidence, right? Blood is very easy to analyze scientifically. In theory, any trace visible to the naked eye can be analyzed. So menstrual blood is composed of blood of dead cells in uterine wall. Again, very useful for genetic profiling. Saliva contains hundreds of cells from the mouth. The DNA from these cells is found in licked stamps, for example. A licked stamp can still be analyzed even after months or years. You know what I just thought of? Now I realize, holy shit. I'm going to be spoiling Breaking Bad, but I mean, I guess if you haven't watched that show, you haven't watched that show. There's a moment in the end where like there's this person they call the disappearer. This guy like hides people. Like he basically like moves hot people, like people who are wanted, from like one state to the other state. And at the end of the show, the main character, one of the main characters, I'm not going to spoil it, he writes a letter to somebody, and the disappearer makes him lick the postage stamp. Now I realize why. Holy shit. Now it's all clicking. Oh my God, I didn't know that. I guess I should have known that, but it didn't click. That's crazy. So urine is not a very good source of DNA for analysis because there's not a lot of DNA in it and it deteriorates quickly. Did not know that. I thought piss would be... identifiable, but I guess cum is more useful. Bones and teeth is mainly used to identify corpses, a good chances of wrong death, skin samples, object in contact. So anyways, yada yada yada. Let me try to look at, let me try to look at like how they destroy it. So when they talk about incendiary devices, apparently that can be used to burn, all right? Any DNA will be destroyed by the fire on the device itself and whatever the fire spreads. Okay, so interesting enough. So if you have like thermite, if you have like a thermal charge or something, straight out of a video game, that's more useful. I feel like if I read more into this, I'm definitely put onto a watch list, and I probably shouldn't be doing that. But yeah, this is actually kind of interesting how they've went down this road to talk about all of these situations. So, for instance, when it comes to the threat library over here, they have like tutorials. Again, for instance, here's how you skip a school day. Not saying that you should. For instance, let's start with a simple example. You're a kid in school and you want your buddy, and you and your buddy want to skip a day of school, but you don't want your parents to know. The adversary is the school system. You start by drawing the root node. It represents the adversary's goal. Okay? In this example, the goal is to let your parents know that you skipped school. The school could call your parents or send them a letter, or one of your professors could run into your respective parents and warn them this could happen with your math teacher who lives down the street or your history teacher who plays bingo with your parents every night. You draw all these nodes. So luckily, at least when I was in school, all they would do is call your parents. You would typically just get home real quick. And like, I think 30 minutes after school let out, you would just like grab the home phone. This is before like cell phones were like, this is when people had home phones. You just made sure like at 3:30 when the phone rang, you pick it up and you hang it up. Done. You're good. Make sure that there's no message left over. So yeah, that was how you kind of skipped the day of school. But when you got a letter, you just intercept that. Not saying you should intercept anybody's letters. Okay. That's a federal crime right there from my understanding. So shouldn't be doing that. But generally, if they called you, you just pick it up and hang up the phone. This is wild shit. This is crazy stuff, dude. This is insane. It's like, this is a criminal's wet dream, okay? This is like if you're an enterprising criminal or you're like somebody that wants to subvert the government and you don't want to fall for the obvious traps, this is it. Or, also this could just be fet posting, to be crying out loud. Like, you really don't know in these situations. What I do know is we're going to back out and go somewhere else, okay? This is the No Trace project. So if you ever wanted to like make sure that you were, if you ever wanted to leave no trace behind, this is it, I guess. Oh, hell yeah, dude. Scientology. I love Scientology, man. This shit is awesome. So if you don't know Scientology, it's probably one of the biggest religions in the state of California. I'm joking when I say it that way. Scientology is a pretty recent religion. It's a new age religion where like, what was his name? L. Ron Hubbard? Yeah, L. Ron Hubbard was a sci-fi writer who wrote this, who wrote basically the thesis of like Scientology. And the best way to remember it is like, I believe the way that Scientology is worked is like somewhere deep in space, there's like a galactic prison. And like Xenu, the space like lord, ran away with like these frozen souls or thetans. Those thetans came to Earth and they infested into the humans that lived in like the early period of Earth. And it's those thetans that are in the body that Scientology aims to, I guess, exercise. I'm not so well versed in there. Like if you like right now, you kind of have me with a gun to my head asking about it. It's a pretty interesting religion. But it's obviously a religion that, personally, if you ask me, it's more so designed for these people to siphon a shit ton of money and not pay that in taxes, if anything. It's kind of weird, like, as a religious person, like, saying somebody else's religion is kind of laughable. I mean, they could easily say the same to me. But yeah, this is, like, one where, like, it's it's a sci-fi writer who wrote it, but again, I'm not here to like offend somebody who's like a lifelong Scientologist. If it makes you happy, I guess it makes you happy, but there's a lot of controversies around it. So how to talk to a Scientologist. Some people think, I think people are interested in why a Scientologist says one, stays one, and why some leave. So I thought I would talk to you about it. I was a Scientologist for 27 years. I gave them over $200,000 of my own money. In fact, until earlier this year, I still consider myself a Scientologist. There's a lot of information that Scientology is destructive. Scientology has to pay out millions of dollars to people they've harmed. Yes, as you may know, it is almost impossible to talk about these things with a dedicated Scientologist. I hope to give you some clues. And you might wonder how I decided to leave. After all, my parents tried to talk me out of it. My sister tried to talk me out of it. My friends tried to talk me out of it. None succeeded. I mean, I guess that's the most difficult thing, right? Like, becoming an ex-religious member, especially when your house is also religious, is damn near impossible in most cases, right? Like, people are conditioned to stick to their group. And I guess that reflects pretty well into, like, any religion, right? Whether it be Scientology or Christianity or Islam or Judaism or Hinduism or really anything. So don't talk to them about weird stuff. Most Scientologists don't know about it and are trained in the area that finding out about it too soon will kill them. I did not know them finding out about the truth of their religion would do that. That's crazy. So just leave that entirely alone. It may freak you out and you may want to share it, but they will think it is a personal attack. Don't tell them it is not a religion. A Scientologist will instantly tune you out the moment you say that. After all, they have subjective experiences that is to them completely spiritual and religious in nature. I mean, yeah, you can't say that Scientology isn't a religion to a Scientologist, right? Like, they could, like I said, they could easily just say, well, Islam's not a religion to me, or like Christianity is not a religion to somebody else, right? Like, it's such a pointless jab that can so easily be flipped onto you. And it does nothing but like throw people away from whatever, thing you want. Scientologists invest a lot of their time and almost all their money in the pursuit of Scientology, total freedom. I just want you to understand that. Take myself as an example. Almost all my friends were Scientologists. Almost all my money went to Scientology. Up to 20 hours a week were spent at the church studying or getting counseling. That is like real dedication, man. Like, I don't think I've done 20 hours a week at a mosque, and I could barely find any Christian person that I know that's done 20 hours at a church. This is a very dedicated, like, religious person right there. So, yeah, they kind of go into this entire discussion about talking to people who are discussing Scientology, and it leads to this, like, actual website, again, Xenu.net, or Operation Clambake, undressing the Church of Scientology since 1996. So I guess it's best to see, like, how big is Scientology really? So as of this website, 8 million members. Scientology claimed to have over 8 million members internationally. At one point, they were even claiming 10 million. Informed estimates put the number of active members at around 40,000. What? You know what, actually, that kind of does not surprise me. I'll give you guys a story of Scientology real quick. When me and the missus, we went out, we were in California, we were in Los Angeles, and they have two places, two Scientology strongholds. They have one on like L. Ron Hubbard Way, and they also have like one that is like the Celebrity Center, right? So me and her went to the Celebrity Center, and like, it is the most surreal experience. You've got people who, it feels like it's all a show. There's nothing going on until you actually show up. You go to the security guard, you tell them, hey, we want to go check out the open house you have going on here. And so they'll hold you off. Somebody from inside will come out and meet you. And as you're going inside, you'll see people sit outside by a Scientology cafe. And it is like by far one of like the weirdest things that I've ever seen. Okay. It feels like people are just present to be part of like this act, like something's going on. So you go inside, they play this videotape for you, and like what was so freaky was me and Jen just left, because at one point, like, I gave them a fake name when I entered the area because I was like, I don't want to fucking have this associated to me whatsoever. So we're sitting there watching this video, and like one of the guys that we meet, the Scientology people, he's wearing like this blue shirt and everything. He's like looking at me pretty actively, and the vibes are like creepy. Like, it almost feels like it's weirdly quiet. It's just creepy. So we just decide to like start leaving, and they ask a bunch of questions. I'm like, I gotta go. We gotta go. We have a dinner reservation or some bullshit like that. And we're out. It's just a weird thing. I wanted to see what this was all about, but the whole vibe of the place was just fucking weird. So then they, in this website, to go back to it, they have like this Xenu leaflet, which I guess we'll read real quickly. So here they'll explain it, right? I'm going to tell you a story, okay? So let's read the story. We've got Xenu right here, this fella. Once upon a time, 75 million years ago to be precise, there was an alien galactic ruler named Xenu. Xenu was in charge of all the planets in the part of the galaxy, including our own planet Earth, except in those days it was called Tigiak. Now, Xenu had a problem. All the 76 planets he controlled were overpopulated. Each planet had an average 178 billion people. He wanted to get rid of all the overpopulation, so he had a plan. Xenu took complete control with the help of renegades to defeat the good people and the loyal officers. And with the help of psychiatrists, he called in billions of people for income tax inspections. Okay, this is a fucking joke, dude. This is a joke. This is a joke, bro. Come on, this is a fucking joke. So, anyways, they had DC-8 space planes that flew to planet Earth. They paralyzed people, were stacked around the base of volcanoes in their hundreds of billions. When they had finished stacking them around, then H-bombs were lowered into the volcanoes. And then Xenu detonated all the hydrogen bombs at the same time and everyone was killed. Okay, let me just see if I'm still recording. The story doesn't end there, though. Since everyone has a soul, or a thetan in the story, then you have to trick souls into not coming back again. So while the hundreds of billions of souls were being blown around by the nuclear winds, he had special electronic traps that caught all the souls in electronic beams. After he had captured all these souls, he had them packed into boxes, taken to huge cinemas, and all the souls had to spend days watching special 3D motion pictures that told them what life should be like and many confusing things. In this film, they were shown false pictures and told they were God, the devil, and Christ. Well, if that's the case, then what happened to all the aberrations? Where did Moses come into the picture? Where did Muhammad come in? Like, if we're gonna include one Abrahamic faith, you think that he would include all the other, like, what about all the other religions that aren't in Abrahamic faiths? Okay, what about Hinduism? What about Buddhism? What about, like, anything, dude? Zoroastrian? What about any other? Jesus. What, you thought it was a stupid story? Well, so do we. However, the story is a core belief of the religion known as Scientology. If people knew about the story, then most people would never get involved in it. Yeah, I mean, like, if you put it the way that they've done, it sounds fucking stupid, obviously. And I think I have to blur some of these actual pages because I don't want to get even caught into, like, any legal battle. Even though I think, like, if I'm not mistaken, I think the actual leader of the Church of Scientology, David Miscavige, is he still missing? They do, however, talk about, like, how much Scientology costs, and it's fucking insane, too. So there's just various categories of membership. Each category defines itself through the amount of money which is paid to the International Association of Scientology and the people who are signed. So for A, 6-month beginning membership is free, annual is $300, lifetime is $2,000, sponsor is $5,000, Crusader is $10, honor roll is $20, patron is $40, patron with honors is $100. Brody, this is expensive, dude. God damn. It's expensive as fuck. God damn. And because it's a religion, like, they're making in, like, lots of this money. and the funniest thing is, look, they're bringing in lots of cash. And they're also, like, it's not like you have to pay taxes on your religious endeavor either. So this is a cash cow of a business to be in. But I'm going to back away from Scientology. Wild shit indeed, ladies and gentlemen. But I'm going to leave it where it's at. I think I've drawn the ire of the beast long enough. Let's go somewhere else. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a while since we looked at a deep web video together. So it's been a while. It's been a while since we've jumped down this rabbit hole. And normally, years ago when I was looking at the deep web, it used to be like a part of the video, right? Like, we would find like a goofy little video. Usually it'd be like a deep web art project. Sometimes it would be, like a little video that you would find on like Live Leak or something. Gory stuff like that, or just stuff designed to freak you out. One of my favorite was the Plague Doctor videos that turned out to have secret messages hidden in the audio track. But here I've got like a VHS track, and we're gonna hit play and see what we've got. Okay. It's like somebody's VHS tape that they... Okay, I think it's just like alright, interesting. Your dad playing with this kid. Good boy. Okay. It's a deep web art project, dude. Hold on a minute. I don't know. I can't show this clip. I can't show this video. This video contains instructions on how to make a chemical weapon. Okay. So, here's the parts I'm going to show you, and I'm going to give you the context to it real quick. So, again, just to kind of cut down on the audio a little bit here. It's going over a bunch of, like, images. It comes out with the word dead guest, but then it switches very quickly to nerve gas, okay? Not to joke around. They do go through the process of showing nerve gas being produced in somebody's house. So while I've censored this, This is imagery where the individual is apparently producing a very deadly chemical weapon. So like inside their like little fridge, they can find these little, I want to say like frozen canisters or frozen like examples of this nerve agent that they're putting together. And then more importantly, it cuts off to like this showcase of like a gas station, like just focusing on the main road, dead guest written down over here. And of course, it cuts back to like all these advertisements as well, and then a blue screen, and then it just ends. So the reason why I couldn't show you any of that gas stuff is because I can't confirm if what I saw right there was actually like instructions on how to produce a serious nerve toxin. Now, for anybody that doesn't know anything about this, there is a channel on the internet, good friend of the channel, somebody might know him as Barely Sociable. And Barely Sociable and I actually talked about this video, I want to say, 4 years ago at this point, where he actually talked about this situation in one of his clips, right? And I think you can find the video over here, how a lost FBI tape surfaced on YouTube. So it's a 31-minute video where he kind of talks about this, and I kind of want to cover this myself too. I want to investigate this. I have not just seen much of this since then, since like again 3-4 years ago. And of course, this video over here exists originally on a channel known as Dr. Rip VHS. So it's got 31,000 views, so it's a pretty like unknown video clip where literally it's just like focusing on this like one tape that we saw. And of course, the more and more you look into this one channel, right? This is like Dr. Rip, and this channel is a celebration of lost media that I've rescued from being thrown into the dump. My aim is to be a time capsule and archive of videos that have otherwise been lost to time. I try to only post things not under active copyright or still being sold. So again, he's basically just somebody that grabs information that would have been lost to time anyways and posts it on the internet. Now the thing about it is, obviously one might think, oh, this guy might have made like an ARG, but generally speaking, this guy's content, and he's still a very active uploader, this was like a very errant video in all of this, right? It was like, sometimes you'll find harmless videos like this fish tank video, which again is just like a fish tank video. Like quite literally could be just an amazing wallpaper to have on your computer if you're into that like vapor wavy aesthetic. So this one video that he uploaded was apparently belonging to a FBI agent. So according to the actual, according to Dr. Rip over here, the person who actually uploaded this onto the internet, they found this in what appeared to be a Goodwill outlet bin. Goodwill is a store where you can find donated goods and you can buy them for a very, 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 very favorable price. But anyways, this person found this tape that apparently had the words Jerry Hill written on the sides, VHS copy of pertinent segment, and of course, when they opened it up, this is what the tape actually contained. So this is quite a wild little thing to find, but I wouldn't be shocking over here. I wouldn't be surprised that somebody would upload something like this. It's relatively obscure, but it does have an interesting backstory. But yeah, there was one point where, again, if you go onto like Lost Media YouTube, and this is Lost Media YouTube, like people who upload rips of VHSs that, you know, typically would have been lost to time, and you find crazy shit like this. For every 100 videos that exist that are just goofy rips, there's always one Jerry Hill tape that you can find. And I feel like sometime in the next week or two, I definitely want to go down my road and read the Jerry Hill stuff. I want to really look into this myself because it is really creepy shit. But if you're interested in it now, Barely Sociable has made a pretty good video talking about this. And if this stuff interests you, I would highly recommend you go check his channel out. Not just for this video, but for a whole slew of other content also related to the dark web. Oh, hell yeah! Sophie believes that every cat should have their own website. This is her secret project. You may ask, does a cat really write HTML? We respond. So yeah, we've got a website made by a cat, ladies and gentlemen. You know, I love cat videos on the internet. Never ever came across a cat website. But unfortunately, I'm going to be honest with you, Chief. I think Sophie died in 2003, and that's a bit of a sad moment right there. Now, if you look at the header over here, Sophie looks like quite a cute cat. I don't know what the ThinkPad is doing in the middle. I know that's a ThinkPad because of the mouse nipple, which I still think, by the way, is one of the most painful mice to ever have, okay? I know some people love the ThinkPad mouse nipple. I'm not a fan. This is her secret project. So anyways, I want to see. Sophie is a calico cat, but I prefer to call her orange. Most people think of orange cats as being solid orange cats. Like Morris of Nine Lives fame, Sophie fur is cat diversity. No part of Sophie is a solid color. Sophie has been online since '98. She has still not turned a profit and missed out on the VC money for online businesses. She would work for regular feeding. Her main complaint is that Friskies offers better tasting flavors of cat food in Europe. You know, there's a lot of things I feel like I probably would never investigate it on the internet. A fucking cat investment story is not something I would ever think of. So I want to read the in memoriam of. I want to read what happened. Gatsby's. Oh, this is another cat that died. Gatsby's. I think that Gatsby missed Sophie in the end. She didn't seem that upset after Sophie died, but then Gatsby always was. Oh, so Sophie did die. Okay, this was a memoriam to it. But Gatsby died of cancer, and it happened so rapidly. She was always a healthy cat, preferred dry over wet, wasn't too interested in human food, loved to roll in catnip. I mean, isn't that cocaine for cats at this point? Or not cocaine, marijuana for cats. I didn't even describe how hard it was. We waited in the examination room. Gatsby purred very softly as I held her. It was in the same room that she had her first examination in 18 years ago. Gatsby never liked being held, but this day she was relaxed. She knew it was the end, and oh man, this is so sad. Like, it's actually just so sad. Like, this is just a kick in the balls, man. Like, I feel so bad for this cat. Like, it's a cute cat. It's just, I'll be honest, man. Like, I don't even hear too much stories about cats with cancer, but it's so saddening. And then there's like another one over here. So yeah, Sophie's last update. When I got home from the burial, there was an emptiness to the apartment. Sophie wasn't lounging in the chair or meowing up a greeting, pacing to get fed, or otherwise asserting her presence. More so than the final moments where she took her last breath at the vet's, it hit me. She was gone. In reality, she'd been slipping away for several days. Her illness had taken its toll, and while I could see the physical signs of her not being able to stand steadily, she dragged her back paws, falling over in her litter box as she struggled to go to the bathroom. It was little meows and purrs that she wasn't making, and the tired, painful look that she gave me when I moved around the apartment, that there were signs that Sophie had slipped away. In the twilight of being asleep and awake on the first night without Sophie, I heard the painful meows again, the fear palpable, resonating in a meow like all the other times she didn't feel safe. Knowing Sophie, she didn't want to leave the earth right away, and I wondered if the ghost of Sophie would haunt me. I think, though, instead, it will be the legend of Sophie that will always be with me, and all the people she's touched over the years. 18 years is a long time, and while it only represents half of my lifetime, it also represents my entire adult life. Sophie was there through all the struggles and upheavals, joys and sorrows, and the many, many different apartments. Though it all, Sophie provided comfort and complaints and made life a little less stressful, a little less lonely, and a little less fearful. I will miss Sophie, long after the tears have dried and the ache is gone, and somewhere within me I will gain comfort knowing that Sophie will live on in stories long after I stop telling them. In the end, all we have are memories, and for Sophie, I am lucky to have 18 years of memories to fill eternity. Bro, it's actually so sad. It's probably one of the best written, my God. You know, the thing about it is, like, at least, I don't know how many people will watch this video, whatever the amount is. At least I know every single one of those people also know Sophie's stories. And I really think that's how people just live on, right? Through just remembering them through other people. To cope what happened over here, to really cope in this entire situation, I feel like this person made their website to just talk about Sophie. And I think that's actually quite beautiful, you know? Like, I've never had a pet like Sophie. I've never had time for it. The reason I don't own a pet is just I don't have the time for it. I don't have the time to dedicate love and support for an animal that I think an animal really needs. I think it's neglectful and abusive if you just own a dog or a cat and you're not providing them that attention that they desperately need and crave. But for this person, it was like, you know, the ride or die. You know, you lose them and you kind of wonder what you're doing in the earth. But yeah, Sophie is a cat cute enough, in my opinion, this Garfield looking motherfucker. To have their own website and their own little online, I guess, epitaph on their life. You know, it's probably one of the most like wholesome, cute things that I've ever seen in my entire time doing this series, man. Like, not only is it sad, but shit, this I feel like this episode should be dedicated for this cat. Not just this cat, but also Gatsby as well. Um, they died in memoriam 2003. So they came into this world in 1985. They left this world in the year 2003. In fact, both of them. So here's to our buddy Sophie. I didn't know her, but I feel like I lived 18 years of my life after reading all of this. And I hope no matter where Sophie is, they're in a much better place. And I hope nothing but peace and well wishes on Sophie and Gatsby's owner. Seems like a great person. They learned HTML just to honor their cat, and I feel like that is so cute. That is so fucking wholesome, dude. Whew. All right, let's go somewhere else. The inmates run this asylum. Oh, psychopath. Let's go. Lol dongs. Void typo in it. Okay. Little code here. There's an area of the mind that could be called unsane, beyond insanity, and yet not insane. Think of a circle with a fine split in it. At one end, there's insanity. You go around the circle to sanity, and on the other end of the circle, close to insanity, but not insanity, is unsanity. You know, this person seems like they run the Arkham Asylum, okay, the best Reddit on the internet. Welcome to Insanity Unincarnate. I'm normally high as fuck when I write this blog. Yeah, I know. Trust me, I know. This site contains writing about mentally disturbed and deranged subjects, often in a mentally deranged state. Reviews on my ventures into a wonderful world of psychoactive substances. Oh my, of course. Reviews of reliable vendors or alternative substances. Good drugs are a human rights. It's our mind, not theirs. Oh boy. I believe in whatever YouTube's TOS is handing out, okay? We're just going to leave it at drugs are... You know, here, I'll give you my take. I think drugs are bad, okay? You should not rely on drugs to have a good time. Best drug is life. Get high on life. The odd interesting show to consume. Good reads on hacking, history, chemistry, drugs, medicine, madness. General bitching, cheaper than a shrink and safer than podcasting. Harm reduction information. I do not sell anything. All right, yada, yada, yada. So if you are in any way not okay with that, then get out ASAP. I'm not law enforcement. I'm not going to be a prude, dude. I'll read what you have to, okay? Goddamn. But yeah, he goes into talking. Let's see the about page. You have to see the about page for this kind of stuff. I guess we'll read the Dr. Gonzo diaries. So this is the Gonzo diaries right over here. They talk about medical trips, weed samples. Apparently, this hit 2 million loads. That's insane. It's crazy. People come across the most insane shit on the internet. But yeah, a lot of this is talking about speed, weed, and every drug in between. Crystal meth apparently too. So yeah, this guy is an amazing drug lover. So I guess we'll read the one. Dear Leo, the Holy Scrolls doth proclaim thee a fucking F slur, I guess is the best way. Jesus Christ, dude, this man's going off. They talk about Celebrite, supported apps decoding list, to 1984, to skip to the screenshots and list. When life gives you lemons, steal some sugar or make a battery. I like puzzles of a sort, not the kind you have used once, and since then have been collecting dust in some strange space. It's not like I'm unique. There are hundreds, maybe even thousands of us around the globe, but not here, not anymore. Kind of ironic that various government entities appear desperate to recruit our kinds these days. Before I jumped on a plane and left many years ago, I distinctly remembered being treated as criminals. That said, from time to time, by the nature of this kind of puzzle, you sometimes run into things that disturb you or really rub you the wrong way. This is one of those latter times. Almost ruined my Gorilla Glue. You can't get high on Gorilla Glue? What are you talking about? Can you? What the fuck, dude? That's crazy. That is crazy. This person's talking about this guy's talking about government safety and security away from the feds watching, man. How much you want to bet this is a Fed that actually started using a whole bunch of the cocaine supply that already raided from the drug bosses anyways, dude? So yeah, this guy is like a reviewer, you know? This guy is like a marijuana lover, man. I mean, he'll talk about, crazy things like gorilla runts. edibles, a cookie. He'll even show photos of it that I have to blur out. And he'll tell you it's good stuff. Great high. It's like who's a channel on the internet? I think it's like Drusive Gilchrist. The guy that reviews weed. This is like the dark web variant of him, dude. It's crazy. Now, I would never recommend you purchase marijuana or drugs on the internet. It's not going to happen. It's not a good place. Don't do it. So, amongst all of the things, he also brings up like disappointments, right? So he's roasting. These are some of the vendors on the internet that he's actually making fun of. So Macaroni, mediocre hash, thin oils full of shit, and like serious vendors cannot handle a negative review. Ooh, here's some drama in the middle of the drug community here. Whoa. Hall of Shame. Pillamore. Fake speed, fake melatonin delivery issues. Jeppo. Fast, loose, and threatens his customer. He's like, yeah, there's some real scumbags on the internet. Let me point it out. I love this guy, dude. I do not support anything Dr. Gonzo says, but I will say he is a funny guy. He also has things like dark reading, I guess, where he talks about hacking, programming, of course, drugs, chemistry. So he gives the Uncle Fester's secret of methamphetamine manufacture. Fun fact about that book. I think it's like pretty common that like most like enterprising meth labs, they will usually have like a copy of this book somewhere because apparently it just teaches you how to actually make meth at this point. I think that book even exists on Amazon. Let me check it out. Uncle Fester's. There's just no way. There's no way Amazon sells this shit, bro. The 8th edition for $27. Imagine buying this on your fucking Kindle, bro. It's sold directly by Amazon, dude. That's crazy, dude. That's crazy. That's actually wild. What is this review in German? Good book, exciting, not for laymen. Yeah, I would imagine. It's not, dude. He loves the Joe Rogan Experience. Epic podcast about literally everything interesting. Drugs, hunting, history, culture, tech, politics. You know, I've never listened to Joe Rogan, but now I think about it, if I was on drugs, I honestly think the Joe Rogan podcast might actually be the most impressive. But if I was on like crazy drugs, I could see myself listening to the Joe Rogan podcast to no end. Yeah, honestly, I could actually see that happening. I would have to be really high. I feel like his podcast would be amazing if you were zonked out of your mind. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that is just one other goofy thing on the dark web. The Diaries of Dr. Gonzo. Yeah, wild shit indeed. Man reviews the internet drug bosses and beyond. And thus marks the end of today's episode of the Dank Web. This week ties off with plenty of interesting websites that we visited. In fact, you know, we've seen things from Scientology, we've seen cute little mentions of a beautiful cat, Sophie, and Gatsby, who are unfortunately no longer with us. So we've seen a bunch of wholesome stuff that I still can't get over the fact that I read a cat's funeral page. And it's still messing me up, man. Like, kind of to be honest with you, I feel like I lived 18 years with that cat reading that page. God damn. Well, we've come across crazy reviews of dark web insanity on the internet. And in amongst all of it, ladies and gentlemen, we've come across websites that teach you how to avoid that surveillance state and make sure that you are safe from any form of Fed spying on you. Granted, I feel like 90% of the websites that I've seen today are probably all Fed posts, but nothing beats the fact that I finally came across something I saw years ago, which was an FBI tape that teaches people how to make sarin nerve gas. I think out of all the things when it comes to this episode of the Deep Web, this is probably the most illegal version of the Deep Web that I've ever covered, okay? Close to illegality that I've ever gotten to, in my honest opinion, reviewing the series. Just because everything that I've read today has taught me how to break some type of law. So again, before we end this, I do not endorse anybody breaking the law. This video is entirely for educational and deep web spelunking purposes. I do not endorse anything that I've read on the internet here. And hopefully you understand that. If you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike if you dislike it. I am out.